Karoline Leavitt sat at the View table Friday morning, impeccably dressed in a navy suit, prepared for what she knew would be a challenging interview. As Trump's press secretary at just 27, she'd become a lightning rod for criticism. The producers had promised a fair discussion about the administration's policies, but the tension was palpable from the moment she walked on stage. Whoopi started diplomatically. She said, "Welcome, Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history." "Karoline, that's quite an achievement at your age." Karoline smiled professionally. She said, "Thank you, Whoopi. I'm honored to serve the American people and bring fresh perspectives to this administration." The first few minutes went smoothly enough. They discussed the challenges of the job, the pressure of daily briefings, the historic nature of her appointment. Even Joy Behar initially kept her comments relatively neutral. Then Sunny Hostin shifted the conversation. She said, "Karoline, you've had to defend some controversial policies. How do you reconcile that with your personal values?" Karoline responded calmly. She said, "I defend policies that put America first, that protect our borders, that strengthen our economy. These aren't controversial to the millions of Americans who voted for change." Joy couldn't contain herself any longer. She leaned forward with that familiar condescending expression. She said, "But Karoline, sweetie, you're so young. Don't you think you're in over your head? This isn't student government." The condescension dripped from every word. Karoline's spine straightened. She said, "Joy, I'm a professional serving at the highest level of government. Referring to me as sweetie and comparing my work to student government is disrespectful and, frankly, sexist." Joy's face darkened. She said, "Oh, please, don't play the sexism card. You work for the most anti-woman administration in history." "Anti-woman?" Karoline's voice gained an edge. "I'm literally a young woman in one of the most powerful positions in government. How is that anti-woman?" Sarah Haynes tried to mediate. She said, "I think what Joy means is some of the policies. I can speak for myself." Joy snapped, then turned back to Karoline. "You're a prop, dear. A young, blonde prop to make them look inclusive while they destroy women's rights." Karoline's composure began cracking. She said, "A prop? I graduated summa cum laude. I've worked in politics since I was 18. I've earned everything I've achieved. Reducing me to my age and appearance is exactly the kind of misogyny women face every day." Alyssa Farah Griffin, surprisingly, defended Karoline. She said, "Joy, that's unfair. Whatever you think of her politics, Karoline has worked hard to get where she is." Joy turned on her too. She said, "Of course you defend her, Alyssa. You both sold out to the same people." The temperature at the table was rising fast. Karoline leaned forward. She said, "Sold out? I'm serving my country according to my principles. Just because they're not your principles doesn't make me a sellout." This is exactly the kind of gatekeeping that pushes young women away from politics. Joy laughed mockingly. She said, "Principles? What principles?" "The principle of lying to the American people every day? The principle of defending the indefensible." "Lying?" Karoline stood up abruptly. "You want to talk about lying? How about the lies this show spreads daily? How about the misinformation you peddle as fact? How about the way you mislead your audience about what this administration actually does?" Whoopi tried to restore order. She said, "Let's all calm down." "No," Karoline said firmly. "I won't calm down while Joy Behar questions my integrity. This woman has spent decades in this chair judging people she's never met, spreading partisan propaganda, and now she wants to lecture me about honesty." She walked around the table, her youth making her energy even more striking. "You know what's really happening here? Joy can't stand that a young, conservative woman has more influence than she does. She can't handle that someone my age is shaping policy while she's still making the same tired jokes from 1997. This is the moment when generational change confronts generational stubbornness. When fresh leadership meets stale criticism. When a young woman refuses to be diminished by an older woman who should be lifting her up. This is why authentic voices matter more than ever." Joy's face was turning red. She said, "Little girl, you have no idea what you're talking about." "Little girl." Karoline's voice filled the studio. "There it is. The sexism, the ageism, The complete dismissal of my qualifications because I'm young and conservative. This is exactly what you claim to fight against, but you only support women who think like you. She turned to the audience. Ladies, do you see this? This is what young women in politics face. If we're liberal, we're brave. If we're conservative, we're props. If we're young and liberal, we're the future. If we're young and conservative, we're little girls who don't know better. Someone in the audience shouted, "Tell her, Karoline." Joy stood up too, her voice shrill. She said, "You're defending an administration that grabs women." Stop. Karoline's voice cut through. Just stop. You're reducing complex policies to sound bites. You're ignoring the record number of women in leadership positions. You're erasing MY existence because it doesn't fit your narrative. She pulled out her phone. You want facts? Here's the number of women Trump has appointed to senior positions. Here's the number of female entrepreneurs helped by our tax cuts. Here's the support for paid family leave in our platform. But you won't discuss that because it breaks your talking points. Sunny tried to jump in. She said, "Those statistics don't address. They don't address your agenda." Karoline interrupted. You need to paint conservative women as gender traitors. Your insistence that feminism only looks one way. Your gatekeeping of who counts as a real woman fighting for progress. She walked back to Joy, standing tall despite their height difference. You've been on TV longer than I've been alive, Joy. And what have you done with that time? You've divided women. You've mocked young people trying to make a difference. You've turned feminism into a political weapon instead of a unifying force. Joy sputtered, "How dare you? How dare you?" Karoline shot back. "How dare you call me sweetie and little girl? How dare you reduce my accomplishments to my appearance? How dare you embody everything you claim to oppose?" She gathered her things with dignity. "You know what? I'm done. I came here to have an adult conversation about policy. Instead, I got insulted, demeaned, and dismissed by someone who claims to champion women. This is why people have lost faith in shows like this." As she headed for the exit, Joy shouted, "Running away when it gets tough." Karoline turned back one final time. "I'm not running away, Joy. I'm walking away. From toxicity. From hypocrisy. From women who tear down other women while claiming sisterhood. There's a difference." She looked at the camera. "To every young woman watching who's been told you're too young, too blonde, too conservative to be taken seriously, don't listen. Your voice matters. Your work matters. Don't let bitter gatekeepers tell you otherwise." Her final words to Joy, "I may be young, but I'm old enough to recognize jealousy disguised as journalism. You're not protecting women, Joy. You're protecting your relevance. And failing at both." She walked off to massive applause from parts of the audience. The show descended into chaos. They cut to commercial early, and when they returned, the energy was destroyed. Joy tried to dismiss Karoline as emotional and unprofessional, but it rang hollow. Within minutes, #CarolineDestroysJoy was trending. Young conservative women flooded social media with their own stories of being dismissed and demeaned by older liberal women. Even some Democrats admitted Joy had crossed lines. Attacking Karoline's age and calling her sweetie and little girl was indefensibly sexist. Karoline posted a powerful statement. "Today I experienced what young conservative women face daily. Sexism disguised as progressivism, ageism disguised as wisdom, dismissal disguised as feminism. Joy Behar showed America who really sets women back." Hint, it's not conservatives. The White House communications team brilliantly amplified the moment, contrasting Joy's treatment of Karoline with the administration's record on appointing young women to key positions. Conservative media had a field day. Liberal media was split, with some defending Joy but others acknowledging the bad optics of an older woman calling an accomplished young woman little girl. At her next press briefing, Karoline was asked about the incident. She smiled and said, "It was illuminating. Joy Behar demonstrated exactly why we need fresh voices in politics and media. When your only argument is to call someone sweetie, you've already lost. I'll stick to facts and policy while she sticks to petty insults." The views ratings among young women plummeted. Many said they were tired of watching older women gatekeep feminism and dismiss young voices. Months later, At a young women's leadership conference, Karoline reflected, "That moment on The View was a gift. It showed young women everywhere what we're up against, not from men, but from women who should be mentoring us. But it also showed that we don't have to take it. We can walk away from toxicity and toward purpose." The revolution wasn't in the argument. It was in a young woman refusing to be diminished. It was in calling out feminism that only flows one way. It was in proving that little girls can be giants when they stand up for themselves. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away from those who refuse to see your worth, especially when they claim to champion women while tearing them down.